The morning sun spilled through the wide windows of the Ridgewood Country Club, where final touches were being added for one of the grandest weddings the small American town had ever seen. Florists hurried across the ballroom floor, carrying buckets of white roses that would line the aisle. A string quartet tuned their instruments, filling the air with scattered notes of classical music. Waiters in crisp uniforms tested champagne glasses, making sure each sparkled like crystal under the chandeliers. And at the center of it all was Michael. Dressed in a sharp tailored tuxedo, his hair slicked back perfectly, he strutted around the hall like a man who had conquered the world. Guests whispered about him with admiration, how he had risen from a nobody to marrying Rebecca Turner, daughter of a powerful banker. The marriage meant wealth, status, and a seat among the town's elite. But Michael's heart carried something far less noble than love. "Everything perfect, sir?" asked his best man, Andrew, adjusting his bow tie. Michael smirked, sipping champagne. "Perfect isn't enough. Today isn't just about marrying Rebecca. It's about showing the world what I've become." His eyes gleamed with arrogance as he leaned closer to Andrew. "And showing Emily what she lost." Andrew's face stiffened. "Emily? You mean your ex-wife? You actually invited her?" Michael's smirk widened. "Of course. Why wouldn't I? Imagine it, her walking in, probably in some old thrift store dress, hair tied back, shoes scuffed. She'll sit in the back while Rebecca shines like royalty at my side. I want her to see me, see what she threw away." Andrew frowned. "But she didn't throw you away, Mike. You left her." Michael waved his hand dismissively. "Details. Nobody cares about the past. What matters is that today, I win. .. By noon, guests began arriving, stepping out of luxury cars and polished SUVs. They wore gowns, tuxedos, and jewels that sparkled under the September sun. Cameras clicked as the social elite paraded toward the ballroom. Inside, conversations buzzed. "Did you hear? He invited his ex-wife." "Yes, Emily, isn't she the one working 2 jobs just to survive? Poor thing. She'll look so out of place here." The whispers floated around like perfume, lingering and poisonous. Michael overheard them and grinned, pleased his plan was working before Emily had even arrived. Rebecca, his bride-to-be, walked in for a final rehearsal. She looked radiant in a silk gown, her father at her side. Yet her expression carried unease. "Michael," she said quietly, pulling him aside. "I heard you invited Emily." "Why?" Michael laughed, as if it were obvious. "Because she needs to see how far I've come. She needs to see what she missed out on." Rebecca frowned. "That sounds cruel. She was once your wife. Maybe she'll feel humiliated." "That's the point," Michael replied sharply. "Don't worry, sweetheart. Today is about us. She's just a shadow in the background." Rebecca hesitated, but her father, Mr. Turner, overheard. He placed a heavy hand on Michael's shoulder. "Son, appearances are everything. If this is the way you want to handle it, make sure it doesn't blow back on us." Michael nodded confidently. "Trust me, it won't." By late afternoon, the ballroom brimmed with chatter and laughter. Waiters circled with trays of wine and hors d'oeuvres. The smell of roasted lamb and buttered rolls floated from the kitchen. The string quartet played softly in the corner. But beneath the glamour, anticipation brewed. "Do you think she'll actually show up?" one woman asked. "She probably doesn't even own a dress fit for this place," another replied with a giggle. Michael stood near the altar, soaking in the whispers. His pride swelled. He imagined Emily walking in, head low, cheeks burning, the crowd's eyes piercing her like needles. He saw her slipping into a chair in the back corner, unseen and forgotten. That image gave him satisfaction. Andrew leaned over. "Mike, don't you think you're pushing it? She might not deserve this." Michael sneered. "Deserve has nothing to do with it. She held me back. While I dreamed of success, she was content with cheap apartments and hand-me-down furniture. I needed more, and look, I got it. She deserves to see me now, at my best." The sun began to set, painting streaks of orange across the horizon, as the ceremony neared. The pastor adjusted his robe, checking his notes. Guests found their seats, the low hum of gossip continuing. And then, silence fell. A text buzzed on Michael's phone. "She's here." He felt a rush of excitement. His lips curled into a cruel smile as he whispered to himself, "Showtime." He pictured her rusty old car pulling into the valet circle, the awkward stares from guests, the embarrassed way she'd walk through the glamorous doors. The very thought filled him with smug delight. But what Michael didn't know was that Emily had changed. Life had not broken her. Struggle had not defeated her. She had carried the weight he abandoned, raised their children alone, and built strength in silence. While Michael spent years chasing money, Emily had discovered something far greater: resilience, independence, and the quiet power of dignity. As the final candle was lit on the aisle, the sound of engines roared outside. Guests turned toward the entrance, curious. Michael's grin widened. "Here we go," he whispered, straightening his jacket. Everyone expected to see a woman humbled by life. But no one was prepared for what came next. End of expanded scene 1. Word count, approximately 1040. The string quartet had just started playing the soft notes of Canon in D when the sudden growl of engines echoed outside the country club. The music faltered. Guests paused mid-sentence, turning their heads toward the grand double doors. Valets in red jackets rushed toward the entrance, their polished shoes clattering on the stone pavement. Then came the gleam of headlights, slicing through the evening air. A black limousine rolled up the circular driveway, sleek, polished, its windows tinted. The crowd murmured. "A limo," whispered one woman, clutching her pearls. "Who could that be?" another asked. Michael straightened, his smug grin returning. He assumed some wealthy late guest had arrived. But when the chauffeur in a tailored suit stepped out and opened the door, the entire room seemed to lean forward. From the limo stepped a woman draped in elegance. It was Emily. The whispers turned to gasps. Her hair was styled in soft curls that cascaded down her shoulders, her gown shimmered under the chandelier light, and diamonds glimmered subtly at her neck. She held her chin high, her eyes calm but resolute. She didn't look broken, poor, or pitiful. She looked powerful. And she wasn't alone. From the limo, 3 children followed, identical in height, identical in features. The triplets. A boy and 2 girls, each dressed in miniature tuxedos and dresses that matched their mother's grace. They held her hands as they stepped onto the red carpet rolled out by the chauffeur. The crowd gasped louder. Triplets. They looked just like Michael. Michael's confident smirk shattered. His face drained of color as he stared at the children, the unmistakable reflection of his own eyes, his own jawline, his own smile mirrored back at him. Who are they?" he stammered. Emily walked forward, each step echoing across the marble floor. The triplets clung to her hands, their presence steady and strong. She stopped just a few feet from the altar, her gaze meeting Michael's. "They are ours, Michael," she said firmly. Her voice didn't shake. It carried through the ballroom, silencing every whisper. "The children you abandoned when you left me. The family you traded for money and status." The crowd gasped again. Guests turned their eyes on Michael, whispers of betrayal rippling through the hall. Michael stumbled back, his voice weak. I didn't know, I didn't." "You knew," Emily cut him off. "You knew I was pregnant when you left. You didn't care. You wanted wealth more than responsibility. And while you were climbing ladders and chasing deals, I was raising our children, alone." Rebecca's father, Mr. Turner, shot to his feet, his face red with fury. "Is this true?" he barked at Michael. Michael tried to speak, his lips fumbling. I thought she wouldn't, she didn't." "You thought I wouldn't survive," Emily interrupted. Her voice was steady, but her eyes glistened. "You thought I'd crumble. And yes, it was hard. I worked nights, I struggled, I cried. But I never gave up. Because I had them." She gestured to the triplets, who now stood tall beside her, proud and unafraid. The guests whispered louder now. She raised them alone, and built herself back up. She looked stronger than ever. Emily took a deep breath. "While you were busy showing off what you thought was success, I was building real success. The limo you see outside. The company name etched on it is mine. The business you once mocked me for starting, handmade crafts I sold online, it grew. It grew into a brand, into partnerships, into something I own fully. I don't need your wealth, Michael. I built my own." The room erupted in murmurs. Some guests clapped softly in admiration, others exchanged shameful looks at Michael. Rebecca, pale and trembling, turned to her father. "Dad, he lied. He hid this from us." Mr. Turner's face hardened. He walked up to Michael, towering over him. "You're no man," he spat. "A man who abandons his wife and children for greed is nothing but a coward." You will not marry my daughter. Gasps echoed. Rebecca tore off her veil, tears streaming. I wanted love, Michael. Not lies. Not shame. She turned her back on him, walking swiftly out of the ballroom with her father. Michael stood frozen, abandoned by the very people he hoped to impress. His dream of prestige crumbled before his eyes. The whispers now turned to ridicule. He left his wife for money. And now even money won't save him. What a disgrace. Emily, still holding her children's hands, faced him one last time. I didn't come here to ruin your wedding, Michael. You did that yourself. I came because you invited me, thinking I was still weak. But I am not weak anymore. I am stronger than ever, because I chose love over greed, responsibility over selfishness, and integrity over lies. Her words struck like thunder. Michael dropped to his knees, his hands shaking, his face pale with shame. Emily turned gracefully, leading her children back toward the limousine. Guests parted respectfully, some offering her nods of admiration, others clapping softly in support. The triplets beamed at their mother, pride in their young eyes. One of them tugged her hand and whispered, "Mommy, you were so brave." Emily smiled, her heart swelling. Bravery, my loves, is simply telling the truth. As the chauffeur opened the limo door, Emily looked back once more. The ballroom that had been filled with laughter and arrogance was now hushed in shame. Michael sat alone on the marble floor, abandoned, his empire of pride collapsing in ruins. Emily and her children entered the limo. As the doors shut and the engine purred to life, the guests watched in silence, realizing the deeper truth: wealth could be flashy, but integrity commanded respect. The limo rolled away into the night, its taillights glowing like beacons of resilience. Inside, Emily kissed each of her children on the forehead. She wasn't just a survivor, she was victorious. Moral of the story: arrogance and cruelty can build a false throne, but only love, responsibility, and integrity create a legacy worth respecting. Those who abandon others for selfish gain eventually face their own downfall. Checkmark word count, approximately 1045.